something before we begin,
Okay.
or before we get on to your agenda. uh, Mafia.
Hmm.
Uh, 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 Shotgun. I mean, I seem to
Oh.
recall that
Mm.
your father carried a shotgun, or you
Oh,
carried a shotgun.
I carried a shotgun, yes. A Christmas night, oh God. Before Joe Gallo was killed, Joe Gallo and my dad were drinking buddies. Then they became arm wrestling tumblers. But Joe Gallo had an agenda, which was to take over some musicians who had been blacklisted, cut adrift by their interest in owning themselves. The big business is records, tons of oil. Records are also memories in people's heads and keep their real memories out of their heads. I mean, don't listen to music, folks. It's a very dangerous filler. It's like the K-Pock in a pillow. You can have feathers or whatever. So the point is, have your own thoughts, have your own apples, etc., etc. And that was the first thing my father told me, but then he said, when I told him I had a lot of voices in my head, he said, there's really just one you have to worry about. Okay, so the point is, he composes music, and he wants to have it performed, but he can't earn enough money, so he has to find other ways to make money, so he starts making his own records. That became a major challenge as well, but part of this was, that's an asset. An artist who can publish his own records, who owns his own tapes, who recorded his own music, and has the masters. Double threat. So he was loose like chum in the water with a bunch of other musicians. I think Dizzy Gillespie, Thad Jones, Max Roach, John Coltrane. I don't want to leave anybody out, but they were called the Newport Rebels. The important point is, that'll be a movie one day if I don't forget it. No, it's like, those guys were pre-civil rights. Those guys were the philosophers, the poets. What they said was front page news from time to time. If they said anything, my dad would say, for instance, once, Queen of England's a dyke, the whole audience would uproar, rah, 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 and it was on the front page of a newspaper the following day. Mingus said.
But what's this got to do with?
I'm getting to that. Well, that
Gallo.
That kind of attention, that kind of presence, attracted his attention because he wanted to get out of the mob proper and get involved in business, other than prostitution, drugs, etc., etc., and controlling musicians could be a pretty good deal. Right. So I'm assuming these things because I was sort of a troupe. I schlepped the music to get it transcribed by hand, and you'd have to sort of wear gloves because everything's still wet. It's like crazy.
And you're what age then?
Well,
it's before you met me, so it's before 68.
Well, yeah, and if you do the math, you tell me I was older than 19, I'd say, well, maybe. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But I couldn't exactly say. I know that I was thinking something that puts a time frame on it, because one Sunday I'm out at night, one Christmas night, and it's raining, cats and dogs, and I happen to have this very expensive London Fog raincoat on, which I was pretty proud of. You had to dress very well in those days, and so here I've got this, like, what is it, $500 raincoat, and underneath is an over and under Smith & Wesson legal pump action double barrel shotgun at the ready, finger on the trigger, standing on the corner. Now the point is, if this is a corner and I'm here and somebody's walking, you got a match? Bam, they blow your brains out this way, coming this way, got a match? Huh?
Why were you carrying the gun?
Because a week before, walking the same street on the way to the club for rehearsal, in unison, sort of like the Keep on Trucking cartoon, our feet are just lifted off the curb like that. And out of nowhere, like from a wall poster and from somehow out of the ground, popped three guys tipping, skipping along, and they poked us in the throat, in the temple, and in the heart. Heart, well, wherever it is, and laughed, and then went skipping arm in arm down the street, away from us, getting smaller and smaller, in seconds. I mean, like seconds, like just, and then there's this apparition of suited, sort of bearded Joe Gallo standing there saying, "See there, Mingus, I can get you anytime I want to." Now, come Christmas, the club is full of people that my uncles Joe and Iggy don't want to have hanging around, any crummy guys, so I'm outside like a warning. But you can imagine somebody in their car going by to sort of case the joint, going, "Hey, he put his kid out there. Oh, he's bad," or whatever. Because I'm stupid enough to stand out there all Christmas night.
Talk for a minute about the FBI, because you mentioned that.
Oh, that story? I never told you that one?
Not on tape.
Not on tape. FBI. Well, according to the CIA, who visited after the FBI and apologized for the FBI's boorish behavior, they are, as the guy said, God bless them, football guys who got their law degrees and couldn't do anything else. And they're tough guys, they're really tough. But the story goes like this. There was a woman who lived in our building, whose name I can't say. But suffice to say, when she left, her apartment became my property because I was the superintendent and I was trying to clean up the building. And on the wall in the bathroom, on the door or on the wall, I don't remember which now, the photograph of her, Che Guevara, and Chairman Mao in a chorus line. Okay, now they came in guns a-blazing practically. They just knocked down the door on the ground floor, off the hinges. It was a heavy, big, this thick wood with glass window panes. There was no warrant. It was a sort of no-knock search and seizure situation. But when they were confronted by me at the front door, affable and friendly and with a sign, "This door is a Band-Aid anyway," so like, right on the door. They were nervous. And I was charming to them, and they were obnoxious to me, and I was saying, what is this about? And their method of operation was, if you imagine a tarot deck of wax paper, transfer, what do they call it? Carbon paper. And scribbled sheets of paper in between, but they had a stack after stack. They were just leafing through them, rattling off names. Bernadette Doran, Bernadette Devlin, this and that, and just name. And I'm looking like, these are celebrities. These aren't, who would be living here? I got multicolor cockroach poop in my paint trays, and you're coming here and looking for these famous, wealthy, I would call them dilettante politicians from the left, right? So, okay, they're there now, and they're looking through all my books, and they go, "He's got Trotsky." Now, this happens to be a borrowed library. There's also Baudelaire. There's also a big, long, thick book, Remembrance of Things Past. Little sacks of old coins. All these books that weren't there already were found in the garbage after people were evicted from lifetimes of living on the Lower East Side. People collected all these books. So now I have these suspect books. These guys have to have an enemy, which, was their thing. And it just, if it wasn't anybody on that list of these, and I saw the guy in desperation just pulling more, and the list, it was like those magic thing, like the Ron Blagojevich ad with the nuts, where he opens it up and it's like 50 times more, and he just kept it's like the clown car, when does this stop, and then they're like, now, I mean, FBI, okay, it's a little daunting. They're looking at my books, okay, that's one thing. They're reciting the titles, and Gurdjieff, Uspensky, Kant, Heidegger, Kierkegaard, and some crazy guy.
You were a voracious reader.
Yes, I read the complete works of Shakespeare, and then when Joe Papp gave me another version of it, I read that twice. No, the point is, I knew there was something wrong with literature, that literature was the crux of change in our society, that the fundamental of it is the thing. And the first document is a search for forever. And it's an agreement that other people don't have souls. That's the fundamental outline. In that, in silhouette against everything else, the world looks like you got to do something. to maintain yourself, to keep the heathens out, et cetera, et cetera. So the principles of the literature, I like Sinclair Lewis because he was talking to humanism, but it never got to the core, hey, where's the big step off where nobody's human but the guys writing books? That was in there, and it was in their heads.
So we can't do a book about you.
I don't care. No.
CIA. So why did the CIA come to visit you? Not to
They
apologize.
Yes, they did. And they gave me their cards and said, well, if you ever feel the urge to participate in government. Now, don't forget, I have an uncle who was a Tuskegee Airman who I love dearly. But I had two uncles. One was like perpetual drunk. The other one was like never been high a day in his life. Had 3 jobs. 20 kids. Okay, I love them too. They're my cousins. But the point is, just so upset. Lawyers, all of them. Doctors, lawyers, dentists. And me, I'm a bum, right? I'm a bum. But I'm happy. Now, the thing is, you can take all the money you get from being a doctor, lawyer, and contributions to the community, notwithstanding. Are you happy? That's the question. And can you be happy with ants crawling around on the ground and your pal? Now I don't want to be that guy, but I'm just saying that's happy too. That's happy stupid. That's not lobotomy because I grew into this guy, but that's the other thing. There's the threat looming over always. No, chemical, I did a lot of chemical stuff, and I thought it took a while to figure out why they were there. It just never occurred to me that it was political and that they had no right to be there. I knew that. That's when I got into FOIA, by the way, more. Going to meetings, which I don't like because all the people are so convinced they're right, and it's just too much. But
that's one of the wonderful things, Charles. You have all these opinions,
Mm.
and you have these facts running through your head and running out your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not convinced you're right.
No.
You just say, this is the facts as I see them. Now, what's your idea?
Yeah, well, I'm stuck with this one thing. I found a person who's a soulmate, so to speak, buddy, Robert Anton Wilson, except he was so convinced he was right to not be concerned about being right, that being right got lost.
So this had nothing to do with your father, the FBI or the CIA?
Oh, no, my father was considered a loyal, patriotic guy. He considered me a communist because I was interested in weaponry, and I didn't join the army, so he thought I was subversive.